The Libido Doctor is in.
Hi, this is Dr. Suzanne and welcome. I would like to talk about the endorsement anointing. What is it? It's the highest form of approval and influence that is being done by a woman to usher a person on a throne, on a specific place of assignment. That's an upgrade. All right, so let me give you a few examples. The first one is David and Abigail. Abigail had the endorsement anointing. And how did she bring it to the table? Remember when David was a fugitive, he was already anointed as a king, but he was running from cave to cave because Saul, the king that was seated, wanted to kill him. David lost touch with his position, with the promise of God for him. He was on his way to destroy the house of Nabal, and Abigail met him halfway. And she simply reminded him that he was a king and he could not bring himself down to this position of destroying someone's property and belongings because it would stain his reputation. David stopped and he looked at her, and I believe somehow his soul got illuminated and he was like, oh yeah, I'm actually a king. Why am I doing this? But you see, what Abigail did was to trigger in him this position that he had already in the spirit, but he couldn't see it. She had to tell him who he was for him to agree with that and sit on his throne. Sure enough, after meeting Abigail, that's when David was seated on the throne. The second example is the example of Solomon. When David was about to pass the baton, remember, Solomon wasn't the first son. David had other sons. Actually, the first one, I believe, was Amnon. But you also had Adonijah. There were many sons that were qualified. But what happened with Solomon? Bathsheba endorsed him. Bathsheba put in the highest recommendation for Solomon, who happened to be her son too. And that's how he accessed the throne. Okay? The third example is Jesus himself. Remember that the first miracle Jesus did was under the prompting of his mother Mary, when he attended the wedding at Cana and they didn't have wine anymore. And Mary told him they don't have wine. And he said, no, why are you bothering me? My time has not come yet. But she instructed the servers or the people there to listen and obey his instructions. In a way, she propelled him on his throne, even though he didn't think it was time. She said, listen to him. And sure enough, he turned the water into wine, and that was his first recorded miracle. So in life, when you are a king, when you are an emperor, when you are a man of valor, and sometimes you know that you're supposed to be in a position, but you're not seeing that coming, God will release a woman in your life to speak that into your soul. And this is the endorsement anointing. It's not just a helper, it's not just a recommendation for a job, but it's a strong declaration that is already approved in heaven that she releases into you, because she sees something that maybe you're not seeing. And she sees the timing that you seem not to see right? So that person comes and tells you who you are, speaks it into your life, and then all of a sudden, you just notice that things begin to change around you. Doors begin to open. You begin to do certain things that you were not necessarily doing before. And most of the time, there is a paradigm shift. In your mind, something changes, and you begin to see yourself at a different level just because of a word, just because of an endorsement, just because of this encouragement that brought light into an area of your soul. So as a man, as a woman, are you able to recognize that person who holds the key to your seat? Because you already called a king, you already called a priest. There is a throne and a seat for you. But who is that person? It's a woman. Because women, you know, our wombs are the earth from which a lot of good seeds and fruits are being produced. So there is someone around you who has that anointing and who is supposed to speak in your life. Are you recognizing that person? It has to be a woman. It has to be a woman, because we are the carriers of the wombs, okay? Well, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.